I'm really like shaky
okay.
and jittery right now. So
calm down.
Yeah.
Do you need an ambulance or you're good?
No.
Okay. So, if you're calling us just to get a restraining order, you can kind of do it yourself as well, okay? You don't need police to do that restraining order for you, okay? Then again, I have to caution you and say you got to tell us the truth, okay? And when it comes to domestic, we take Toronto Police Service, I shouldn't say we, but Toronto Police Service takes them very serious, where whatever you say, depending on if we find a criminal element attached to it, he will be arrested. It's not, he may be arrested, it's officer discretion, he'll be arrested. No. He will be arrested.
He will.
So it sounds like you're instigating him too, right?
Yeah. And I said that on the phone as well. I said it comes from both sides. For me, there was a few incidents I have instigated, but as well as him, he is like the main instigator.
So she's told him 3 times to stop, right?
But stop, but you messaged him again.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, I did. Because I got a message yesterday.
I mean like after you told him to stop contacting, you sent him a message.
Why did you message him?
Because I told him, I'm giving you this last chance to clear your name.
So this is right after you called us, that just letting him know that you called police regarding his behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll give him a call. I think he lives in Brampton or somewhere, side of town, right? We'll give him a call, try to talk and get his side of the story too.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll make a report here, and we'll talk with, I'd say Dylan. How do you say it? Dylan. Okay. We'll talk to him too. Move on with his life.
Okay, we're gonna get a statement from you.
I'm trying.
What happens when a woman bravely reaches out for help, only to be failed by the very system meant to protect her? This is the heartbreaking story of Daniela Marjorie Malia, a vibrant 23-year-old from Toronto, whose life was tragically cut short after a chilling plea for safety went unanswered. In today's episode of Melanin Mysteries, we dive into the timeline of events leading up to her murder and the devastating consequences of a justice system that didn't act in time. This is not just a story about violence. It's a story about being unheard, about courage, and ultimately about the pursuit of justice. "23-year-old Daniela Marjorie Malia was born on April 8, 1999. She resided in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. At the time, she was in an on and off again 5-year relationship with a man who was 10 years older than her, named Dylan Dowman. Originally from Jamaica, he claimed to be a rapper and producer in Toronto. At the time of the incident, Malia and Dowman had broken up for reasons unknown, but it could be due to Dowman's controlling and abusive ways, as you will hear later on in this video. During the course of their breakup, Dowman had outright made her question her safety, and he had communicated that he meant her harm, as he had told her what he was going to do to her and where, prompting her to call 911 to report her life was in danger. On August 15, 2022, a 39-minute interaction with the police was captured on a police body-worn camera, where Malia had told 2 police officers, Sang-Yub Lee and Anson Alfonso, that Dowman had been harassing her and sending her threatening text messages, including, "Ain't no coming back from death, you're done." At first, Officer Alfonso questioned how she knew text messages from a particular email address or Dowman. Malia responded saying, "It's him, that's his iCloud. I know it's him because I don't have other people in my life who pull the bullshit that he does." She spoke about how she wasn't the type to put a black man behind bars, but wanted to get a restraining order against Dowman. In the end, Toronto police officers told Malia that her dispute was a he said, she said situation and advised her to stop contacting him and to call 911 if anything else happens.
You told him to stop, please stop, right? Which is the right thing to do. We read it, right? At the same time, you should stop talking to him too, even though you don't have to warn him.
Constable Sangyab Lee testified that on August 15, 2022, he and his partner Anson Alfonso responded to a call from Daniela Malia asking about getting a restraining order against her ex-boyfriend, Dylan Dowman. The 23-year-old is showing the officers a series of threatening text messages that she says Dowman, her on and off again boyfriend of 5 years, sent her. One says, "You still breathing? 'Cause I say so." And ain't no coming back from death. You're done. I promise you that.
Lock your door, call 911.
I already told him don't ever show up because he knows what's gonna happen. Like, you guys are already here.
Just hear me out.
Daniela tells the officers she wants a restraining order. They give her the address of the courthouse where she needs to get what is called a peace bond.
What makes you don't want him to get charged? What makes you feel that way?
I am not the type to put a black man behind bars. I never wanted to do this. I only did it because I don't feel safe.
The officers tell Daniela she doesn't have to give a statement, and she decides against it.
Police in Canada are required to charge people with domestic violence when they have been presented with reasonable grounds to believe intimate partner violence has taken place. According to Toronto Police Service Tribunal documents, the officers gathered info and evidence that provided reasonable grounds to believe a criminal offense occurred, but Officer Lee failed to notify his supervisor about his interaction with Malia and neglected to officially identify the call as a case of domestic violence against Toronto Police Protocol, which requires charges to be brought in cases of intimate partner violence if there is sufficient evidence. It was said that the officers did their due diligence by speaking with Dowman over the phone for only 3 minutes, warning him to stay away from Malia. According to Officer Lee, Dowman replied saying that Malia wasn't an ex-girlfriend, but rather an acquaintance, and agreed he would no longer contact her. Later that afternoon, Dowman sent Officer Lee an email saying that Malia kept contacting him and that she stated that she lied to police because she was high. Now knowing that his ex went to the police regarding him, it could be said that this had angered him, and with Malia without any police protection, it led him to commit a deadly act. You see, in just 72 hours later, on August 18, 2022, Dowman had gone to Jane Street with a loaded handgun and waited outside for more than 90 minutes until he saw Malia walking down a path. She had been wearing her headphones when he grabbed her neck, dragged her into an underground garage located at 2265 Jane Street. CCTV captured Dowman taking the handgun out of his backpack before he pointed it at her. After 4 minutes, in which Malia could be seen pleading for her life, Dowman shoots her multiple times. 6 empty cartridge cases were found around her body. Surveillance captured some of the deadly encounter, like Dowman stepping over her body and then calmly walking down the street to catch a bus. Officers had been called to the scene for a medical call shortly after 1 p.m. When police arrived, they found her with gunshot wounds and she was pronounced dead.
It was August 18th, 2022, just after 1 in the afternoon, when police were called to the underground parkade of a townhouse complex on Jane Street after a tenant came upon a body lying on the ground. 911 was called. Emergency responders testified when they arrived, the woman was unresponsive. 23-year-old Daniela Malia was later pronounced dead at the scene. Police recovered 6 bullet casings from the scene. The Crown said after the shooting, Dowman concealed his gun, left the garage, walked down the street, got onto a bus, and went to a nearby mall.
A nationwide warrant was issued for the apprehension of Dowman, and he was arrested a month later in September 2022, charged with first-degree murder. 3 years later, Dowman's murder trial by jury commenced, and in the first few days of the trial, 2 of the 14 jurors were dismissed, one for falling asleep during testimony on the opening day, and the other who asked to be excused because she found the evidence to trigger some pre-existing anxiety issues. During the trial, the jury was able to see CCTV of the incident, which showed the moments leading up to Malia's death. Dowman's defense lawyers argued that there was no concrete evidence that Dowman was the man in the video and pointed to Malia's text messages to Dowman where she apologized and told him she lied to police because she was high on crack. But prosecutors told jurors, "We know she didn't lie to police because we have her texts." The defense lawyers tried to make a case that Dowman committed manslaughter as opposed to first-degree murder, arguing that there's no way to tell how she came to be shot, whether it was intended as a warning shot or discharged during the struggle. The prosecutor told the jury the text messages Dowman sent to Malia proved he intended to kill her, saying that he planned it, that he deliberated on it, and then he carried out his plan. In less than 1 day after beginning deliberations, the jury delivered its guilty verdict against Dowman. On February 20th, 2025, the officers who responded to Malia's 911 call faced misconduct charges over their handling of her complaint. Constable Sang-Yub Lee pleaded guilty to neglect of duty and was demoted rather than losing his job after he gave an emotional apology at the police tribunal, and Malia's family asked that he keep his job. Constable Anson Alfonso, currently suspended with pay, still faces disciplinary proceedings. Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkew took the highly unusual step of publicly denouncing what had happened before the disciplinary matters had been heard. Dowman was sentenced to life in prison, and he must wait 25 years before becoming eligible to apply for parole. But it was said that he has no guarantee of ever getting parole. Malia was described by her sister, Emil Ingram, in her victim impact statement as a joyous woman who wanted to achieve what life has to offer, and said that she was people-minded, sympathetic, ambitious, and that what will hurt me forever are the thoughts of her last moments. Tashana Ingram, another sister, addressed Dowman, who sat expressionless in the prisoner's box, saying, "She deserved better. I have to be sitting here today, feeling guilty for not being able to help her. Though I didn't take her life, you did. And yet for some odd reason, you lack accountability, have no remorse."
Unimaginably painful for them.
Feel like I lost her all over again.
Inside the courtroom, Daniela's sister, Tashana, said, quote, "The sentence will not be enough for heartbreak to heal." Dowman sat expressionless in the prisoner's box. She stared him down while saying, "I wish you well," because that's what Daniela would have done. She's channeling her sister in that moment and something she admired most about her.
Strength, to be honest. I was there for my sister.
Albert Ingram, Malia's father, thanked homicide officers and Crown attorneys. He also had words for Dowman. "I hope he gets what he deserves." Court also heard from Malia's co-workers at Pet Value. They described her as a kind, caring, loyal person who had an infectious personality. Daniela Malia's story is a painful reminder of how devastating the consequences can be when cries for help are dismissed. While justice has now been served in the courtroom, it cannot undo the trauma, the heartbreak, or bring Malia back to those who loved her. Her life mattered, her voice mattered, and her memory deserves to be honored, not just in words, but through real changes in how we respond to women in danger. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next time on Melanin Mysteries.